All right, welcome everyone into episode 29 of the Hooley Brothers podcast. Been a little bit of a laugh. We've been typically doing twice a week, but things are opening back up a little bit. We got birthdays to celebrate, so yeah, a bit of a laugh. 6 days since our last episode was a draft preview. Last Wednesday night, we're here with you on a Tuesday night. Mike, how you doing?
Not bad. Should we get into it? I know you mentioned the draft was where we left off last time, so we should pick it up, huh?
Yeah, I've been dying to talk about it. Like I said, just been moving around. Was up in Portland, Maine, enjoying some of the outdoor cuisine up there, doing a few adventures. So I kind of had to hold on to some of these takes and these results. First, I just want to lead off with I beat Mike in our draft challenge. Neither one of us did particularly well, and that can kind of happen in the draft sometimes. But using our 2 point system for if getting player in the right spot or the right team, the score was 13-9, so about four and a half picks for Mike, 6.5 for myself. Got a couple late. Najee Harris and Jason Owe both kind of able to seal the gap for me there. But Mike won March Madness. These are the little victories I need to take in while I can.
Well, I also did the classic. I mean, I did plenty of bets that night that all went the wrong way, but I did go under 11.5 on Devontae Smith, but hedged by picking him going to the Eagles and the trade up. I won both the bets.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was so bad the
That's
rest
not
of the
bad.
night. I ended up as like an even. I really needed it, but I felt like
Mhm.
such a mastermind there.
Yeah, he's
Like I broke,
manipulated that.
like I broke the system. So that's I'm
Yeah,
okay losing because of that one thing that just happened.
absolutely. And again, we typically start, local team to more of a macro level, but I think in this, no pun intended, macro level. But I think best here to kind of go in order. So obviously the top two went as expected. Trevor Lawrence obviously went number one overall to the Jaguars, and Zach Wilson, who I had no idea looked 14 years old, but that mirror selfie really confirmed that one. He goes the Jets at number two. So here's where the draft really started at number three, and I don't know. All week it seemed like it was down to Mac Jones and Trey Lance, but it seemed like Mac was really the one in that spot, and then it seemed to be the last 24 hours, almost right when we stopped recording and all day Thursday, it seemed like it was trending more towards Trey Lance, and that's where they end up going at number three. Quarterback out of North Dakota State University, who played just one game this past year due to the FCS kind of switching their schedule around. He had almost a showcase type game in the fall rather. So he goes number three to San Francisco, and it seems like they're going to hold on to Jimmy G for the time being. But I don't know, a move that it seemed like all the chatter is that Shanahan wanted Mac Jones and the front office wanted Trey Lance, and it ends up being Trey Lance the picker at number three.
Yeah, I feel like there was just a lot of rumors. I feel like kind of this is one of the few times that you didn't really know what was going on, and you kind of just had to like
Mm-hmm.
wait for the pick. It's because like usually a lot of them are foregone conclusions, like Lawrence and
Mm-hmm.
Wilson, and heck, even we're gonna jump ahead a little bit. Pitts at 4 seemed like kind of
Yeah, that was almost more in stone than the number three pick was.
yeah. So like this is the first time that no one really actually knew, and the fact that they had a guy like Garoppolo, like maybe if he was on the move before, I know that they say that Jones is the more pro ready between him and Lance.
Mm-hmm.
So like the fact
Mm-hmm.
that they're willing to hold on to him at least through camp until like because they don't get hit with his money until when they cut down to 53. So even if they want to have them go to camp together, if Lance can prove he's ready, they can just cut him
Mm-hmm.
or try to get some value from him. So now I think they want a first again because they feel like they have all the cards. So
Because they could easily hold on to him. Yeah, I'd be like, all right, fine, wait, we'll just wait. Like we'll figure it out. We don't need him this
and
year.
even if
Like
the
whoever
owners
you are.
and even if the owner is willing to pay the money to be a backup, perhaps, or even just a bridge, I feel like it's a smart move for them to take the guy that they think that's the most upside.
Yeah, if I'm a team looking for a quarterback, I'm not going for first. I'll be like, I'll call your bluff. I'll wait if I have to, or I'll figure something else out. It's not like Garoppolo's like. It's not like we're talking about. And even then, this was kind of a different situation because of the injury. But it's not even like a situation where, oh, you have Peyton Manning who just had an injury, but they got the number one pick in luck, and they're just going to make a change
Yeah.
in from one franchise guy to another. Like Jimmy has not performed super well. I mean, a lot of it injury basic. He did go to the Super Bowl, but that was a lot of the talent around him. So again, I don't know. I could figure something else out if you're going to be hard at it and not trading for like a second, which is what you got him for when his value was higher. I would say.
Mhm. I wouldn't
So
trade him for 3 firsts or whatever.
yeah. Oh my God, Schefter. But yeah, so it ends up being Lance the guy at number three. Um, Again, I think this makes a little bit just more sense on the whole. Again, you trade up for a guy, and I don't know, it just seems like that seemed to fit Lance's bill a little bit more than Max Jones. So obviously we'll get into it a little bit here. And it's funny because I feel like this is what I kind of thought all along that Lance was going to be the third guy. Granted, I thought it was going to be a flip flop of Wilson and Fields. I still don't quite get that, but again, another thing we'll get to in a bit here. But yeah, so it ends up being Lance at number 3. And again, it seems like they'll hold on to Jimmy because again, it's weird because he's had so much time off. You're almost like, does he need more because he hasn't played in so long? Is he going to need to sit out a whole year? And again, that's the good thing about holding on to Garoppolo is that it kind of gives you that you don't really need to rush it. If your plan is you want to wait a whole year, almost like they did with Patrick Mahomes recently, then you can do that. I don't think it's going to come to a situation where Jimmy's going to play you out of contention. Granted, an injury could happen, and then that changes everything. Do you keep a guy like CJ Beathard? I don't know, but again, I don't think it's not a situation to rush him in. Or Nick Mullins, right? Either one of those guys. If you want to kind of keep them both set, no matter what Lance doesn't play, I don't know, but again, he ends up being the guy at 3, and I just think for them it made more sense. That's kind of a guy that you're going to trade up for. But especially because again, how the draft played out, and maybe if they don't make that trade, things don't happen. But it's like if you wanted Mac, you could have waited where you were. I mean, easy to say now in hindsight, but again, I think the Lance deal made more sense. I think more people were going to try to trade up to get him. But again, then as you say, Pitts was kind of expected at number 4. People thought, the Falcons go a different direction to quarterback, or they're trying to kind of build up the team they have. And I don't know. I think Pitts is a great move to see how it works with Matt Ryan this year. See if things get any better. If they do, great. If not, you'll probably end up back up here again and go for quarterback next year.
Yeah, because it's kind of just like one more try, and like he probably it's just so weird the position he's at because he is like one of the best athletes probably to ever come out as like an offensive skill guy. He's more of a receiver than a tight end, but the fact that he has a tight end body kind of makes him more valuable. Like I know Kuiper had him as like the 2 overall.
Yeah, only Lawrence ahead of him.
The most coveted QB prospect since Luck. So I guess just take the best player on the board. You have like a competent enough quarterback. Maybe give him a new coach and just see maybe he can get back to at least like a couple steps down from his MVP levels. Like they have all those first round draft picks, so maybe they just needed a new voice in the room for one last year. And the fact that it's Atlanta, they're probably just gonna mess up next year. They'll have another high pick, and then you can give him a quarterback with an already kind of 1 year season's great weapon to have, and like we're at least in Alabama. So it was just
because again, there's no point. Yeah, no point in kind of trading. Or not trading, rather, drafting a quarterback and then not have anything around him. See what you have with Ryan, and then you can move into a younger guy if you want. Then we got to number 5, and this is another position I think we all thought was going one way for most of the week, and then once we got into the last 24 hours or so, it sounded like it might go another way. And I get it to a certain degree. It ends up being Jamar Chase here, Joe Burrow's old teammate. You get that connection back in play here, but I don't know. We saw what Joe Burrow dealt with his first year, and obviously ended up getting injured. But even before he got injured, just clips from a practice running for his life. Absolutely no protection. And you have Penei Sewell sitting there to protect this guy's left side for years to come here. And you kind of go for the more of a flashier pick in Jamar Chase. And again, that connection's there. I do like that. I like that, you're getting college guys back together. But I really think they should have gone for offensive line here.
Me too. Booger was even very adamant too. Sorry.
Yeah, Booger went in.
It was like, this is malpractice to like put him out there.
Yeah.
Especially because he's only going to be back to like week 6, week 8, something like that. So I don't know. I mean, of course, it's going to be fun to see them play again. It's going to be awesome. I think they did make a couple moves in free agency, like Riley Reef. I think they got him from Minnesota. And it was like, oh, you could shift him to guard, but I think the reason why you wanted out of Minnesota is that Minnesota wanted to put him at guard. So I guess they're just kind of relying on some vets, and hopefully that they can just get that connection going, that they have a kind of like Manning to Harrison or something like that. Just hopefully just build from the outside in rather than the inside out. So I hope they can Sewell. It was like the highest greatest prospect when I was an offensive lineman like of all time. So
yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. And I'm even looking like it's not even like they immediately then addressed. I mean, they took a guard, but like they didn't take a tackle till the 4th round.
Yeah,
I'm looking at Deontay Smith out of East Carolina. So I don't know. I think I don't know. I think it's tempting. It's very tempting to get that connection back in play. But I agree. I also would have gone with Penei Sewell there just to give Joe Burrow protection. You can figure out wide receiver, and you have some young receivers there too. I mean, they have T Higgins, right? So it's like
Thinking
you have.
as a veteran guy, Boyd's always been pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Do they still technically have AJ? I don't even know where AJ Green
AJ
left
Green's
off.
in Arizona.
That's right. That's right. Sorry.
They have, so,
What's that?
they have so many receivers. I think they drafted a guy too.
Arizona.
Yeah, like in the second round, they got a
Yeah.
guy too. So
Yeah. So no shortage of weapons for. Oh, they didn't. It was a shorter guy, right?
I think so.
Because they were talking about on PNT today the whole surrounding Kyler Murray with shorter people, so he looks because of Andy Isabella and all that. But yeah, so they go there, and then we get another quarterback wide receiver reunion one spot later at number 6, with the Dolphins going with Jalen Waddle, and that's a pick I did like for them. I thought they should go wide receiver there no matter what. They seem to have more stability. I mean, there's less of a storyline with the Bengals kind of, with the lack of an offensive line there. I thought that was going to be Jamar Chase just because he was the best receiver on the board. But obviously now you get that Alabama connection with Jalen Waddle and Tua.
yeah, it was Rondale Moore to Purdue, by the way, to Arizona.
Right.
So
Yes.
I knew it was someone out of
5'7", right? I think he's like a little like Percy Harvin type or Tavon Austin.
Yeah, I mean, I had a feeling if they're getting a 6, they're going to receiver, and I feel like they like either Chase or Waddle, which is why I think they kind of only get the 6, assuming that only one was going to be off the board. So
right, exactly.
Guy like a Waddle is a lot of the guys over the middle, if I remember right, during like the days. So I think it kind of would fit Tua well. So
yeah,
don't mind the pick. I mean, unless they wanted Sewell as well, just to give Tua more production. But
yeah. But no, I like the pick for them. Again, I thought it was going to be Chase to fall to them, but yeah, at least now we get the LSU connection, the Bama connection, which is I do like. I think that is fun at the next level, getting guys who played in college together on the same team. But then that left Dan Campbell, Mr. Biting Off Kneecaps, sitting at number 7, who again got Penei Sewell, and I think that's great because you do have now Jared Goff under center, who again has the ability. Again, I think a wide receiver would have been great there for them, but I don't know. Smith might have been a bit of a reach. At number 7, you can kind of go either way there, but no, now you got Penei Sewell, who's projected to go. I think before that trade happened, some people thought he might even go 3rd overall if the Dolphins stayed up there before the whole trade, the 3-way trade happened. But so yeah, I think it's great value at number 7 for Detroit.
did you see a clip of that war room? They were so amped.
Yeah. They probably thought there's no way he's falling past both Cincinnati and Miami.
Yeah, so that was the move there. Got to take him, kind of like as Dan Campbell's first pick. He needed a big dude, not a So
flash wide receiver. Well, and forgive me, Mike, because I know Golladay ended up with the Giants, but Marvin Jones, did he end up somewhere different as well?
So
yeah, well, that's the reason why I thought they'd go wide.
I was about to say, like, picking a lineman gives Goff the chance to succeed by giving him more protection, but he's not going to have anyone to throw to, so it's kind of
right. Exactly. So that makes it obviously a little bit harder there. But okay, so then it was kind of J.C. Horn, son of Joe Horn, went number 8 overall to the Carolina Panthers there, and then here's where I don't know. I think this was just the ultimate middle finger to my draft board here. I think everyone in the world had Patrick Surtain penciled it at number 10, and then Charlie Kelly, back of the van, John Elway decides to go for Patrick Surtain at the 9th spot. So kind of steals him from number 10.
I'll put it this way. Like, no, I said that I hit on the Smith thing. That was between like the Giants and the Eagles. They're both like plus 300, plus 350. Surtain was minus 110 to go to the Cowboys.
Oh, wow.
Because I just don't think anyone really thought defensive players are going to go before 10. And Surtain looked like the best defensive player. So,
right.
It was shocking that Horn went 8, even more shocking that he went at 9. So, I have no idea why that run on corners happened right there, but it did.
It did. Yeah, that's true. Because J.C. Horn went first. That's actually crazy. I didn't even add that up in my head, is that he went above Patrick Surtain.
Yeah.
So that's a little wild there. But yeah, that's it with the Panthers too. Like, I didn't hate them not going for a quarterback. I mean, a lot of people did, but you just got Darnold. Like, again, same thing like we were saying with Atlanta. If that doesn't work and you suck, you'll end up at the top of the draft again. And do it next year. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just see what you have in Darnold.
That's why I thought they should have went with Slater.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I'm trading down and getting a lineman as well. I think a lineman would have been smart there. But so yeah, we had corners go back to back there, and Horn and Patrick Surtain. So Dallas is like, well, F that. We're going to trade down 2 spots with division rival. Very, very weird to see an NFC beast interdivision trade there.
That
And
was
that's
basically the Cowboys made an alliance with the Eagles just to screw over.
screw over the Giants.
So
Yeah, that's a good point, Mike. Because again, you had Devontae Smith to the Eagles at 12. So this is where your half point or your full point came in. Only 1 out of 2. But yeah, I had Devontae Smith go to the Giants at 11. So I think if Dallas stays here and makes his pick, I think there's a good chance he comes off the board, especially because the Giants took a receiver later, which we'll get to.
I had some sources that told me day of that he wasn't getting past 11.
Yeah. Who are these sources you had in front of me?
I'm not going to name them.
All right.
I'm not going to name them.
Well,
I'm not going to name on camera. I'll let you know after.
all right. We'll talk later. All right. But very intrigued now. But no, I kind of felt the same way. Just on the whole, I think the Giants clearly showed that they wanted a receiver. So I think Smith definitely would have gone there. But he goes the Eagles at 10 after the trade up. And we have another connection. If you look back far enough, Jalen Hurts back when he was at Alabama, quarterback for Devontae Smith. That's probably only like a year, right?
I think, yeah, because he was there for the first championship over Georgia. He got the game-winning pass from Tua.
Right. So I guess technically 2 years because Hurts stayed the next year, right?
Yeah.
And then okay. So teammates for 2 years, probably a year of actually playing together there. But either way, so yeah, another connection there. So then the Giants, again, same thing. They kind of got this NFC East sandwich that kind of threw them over. They trade back to 20, and this, Mike, I never thought I'd see the day. And again, a lot still has to actually happen on the field. But decision-wise, I feel like the Chicago Bears finally made a smart move at quarterback. They trade up. I think even having to trade up, this is still a steal, given how good I think the guy is. They get Justin Fields at 11. Their quarterback of the future.
Yeah, it's one thing to be nervous about is that he did fall down the boards. He is going to Chicago. Not really known for the quarterbacks. He was the fourth quarterback taken. If you look at the history of the last 20 years, the fourth quarterback taken. I think the best name on the list is a very, very average quarterback. It's when you get into the Christian Ponders. If you look back far enough. So it's just there's some bad news in his way, but I'm gonna let Bears fans be happy. They got a guy. They did a competent thing. They were aggressive and found their guy. So
I just at a certain point, unless there's some really nagging injury with him, I really don't get it. I still think he should have got number 2 overall, if we're being honest. So.
Me too. It was just the one thing I said all during the fall. Of course, I did a 180 in that Clemson game because he was fantastic in that Clemson game. Is that he likes to hold on to the ball. He gets sacked a lot, which I'm nervous with someone even just look at the Packers Zary Smith coming off the edge and someone in the NFC could give him some trouble. But I don't know. He's proven he can play in the Midwest at Ohio State, so weather is not really a thing with him. So I think it's a good move, and I'm happy for Bears fans.
Yeah, I just think, like I said, I don't know. I think at a certain point, because you're talking about the fourth quarterback taken, and I feel like that's usually someone trading up in a frenzy to get a guy who's not even worth that. But I think, again, Fields fell, especially to what we thought. I mean, if you look at mock drafts, that's the crazy thing about this whole process, too, is I bet if you looked at drafts from the day after the national championship game, a lot of people probably had Fields at number 2.
Yeah.
No games have been played in that time, mind you. And Zach Wilson and Trey Lance, and for some people, maybe even Mac Jones, passed him with no games being played. So it's such an interesting process because, again, the last time we saw him on a field, he was playing very well. So I agree. I think it's a great fit for Chicago. A lot in his way just because of, I mean, maybe there are things we don't know about or just kind of getting over certain things. But I think if this doesn't work out, I don't blame the Bears at all. I think this was, at the time, a perfect move for them, and they made it. Then we had a few that's for some thing here, but I think I've already sorry, I'm jumping my draft board back up. Because then we had then there's another trade actually. Oh, the Cowboys, right? Sorry, they trade down. So they get back. I think that's a great move. They probably had their set on Patrick Surtain in the secondary, but Sean Lee just retiring after years of kind of having that injury-plagued career. They get Micah Parsons at 12, which I think was great value.
Yeah, and I mean they still have Smith and Van Der Esch, but he said like there was a whole of Sean Lee, and he couldn't know like because people said Van Der Esch is a clone of Sean Lee. Who knows what his injuries are going to look like if they actually are that much of a clone.
Mm-hmm.
So like I thought he was the best defensive player in the draft.
Yeah.
So I think I watched like the Scooter McGreer videos. He like did like
Yeah. Yeah.
on the way, and of course he's himself as a Cowboys fan. He was like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like taking the Patrick Surtain? Like you don't need a corner." And then like it went back to him, and he was like, "No, we get the best defensive player in the draft. I don't care."
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No, I think Parsons is going to be great. If Patriots didn't go quarterback, would have wanted them to end up with him somehow. So yeah, I think that's a great move for the Cowboys. Trading down, getting an extra pick out of it. I think Dallas did a great job in the first round here. Then we start, Mike. We got Justin Herbert's a protection, which I think a lot of other teams didn't do with their young quarterbacks. But you got Rashawn Slater here, and that's another one. You talk about value. I think a lot of people were even putting him ahead of Penei Sewell, and you get him at 13 without having to do anything.
This is gonna sound so boring, but this is my favorite pick of the first round. Just
Okay, all right.
value and just competence around it. Just
Mm-hmm.
if you have a young QB and you just the next if you spend a first round draft pick on a QB,
Mm-hmm.
the next year you draft a tackle or any sort of offensive line, and that just adds up to my
Yeah,
especially one with the top 10 value at 13. Like I thought they
yeah.
were
We.
like I thought they would be like you're gonna get Darisaw like it. I think they were okay with it, and the fact they got Slater.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
it's hard to
I
judge,
think that
but my favorite.
that might that might be no, maybe the best pick, best move might be Dallas again, just trading down 2 spots, still getting your guy. Um, but yeah, I think that, and then the Jets actually trade up to the 14th spot. So after picking second, they trade up to 14 to get Elijah Vera Tucker, the guard from USC, and then swap with Minnesota. And then Mike, we were finally on the board at 15. I was a couple glasses of wine, a few seltzers deep at this point, watching the draft, and I was absolutely amped because I did not think the Patriots were going to pull the trigger. Return of the Mac, national champion Mac Jones, drafted by the Patriots at 15. Again, I've been a big Fields guy. I wanted that to somehow work, so I got a little nervous when Chicago traded up to get Fields, and that's the guy ultimately who I did want to come out with. But second on the list was probably Mac Jones, just because of how dire a quarterback situation is.
Yeah, I'm still confused about this. Like, eh, I don't know. I know it's anyone but Cam, but it's just I'm not too excited yet. Just seeing his walk into the draft with his big suit, just like
This is insane, Mike, because I remember months ago you turning me on to Mac Jones, essentially, just thinking like, oh, I want him on the Patriots. I want him on the Patriots. And then it happened. And then I don't know, the reaction was a little deflated on your end.
well, at that time I thought he was a day two person because I never thought
Did you?
well, I never thought that we'd ever take a quarterback in the first round.
Okay.
I guess the way to think about it, if you ask me back, if I was looking at mock drafts in January and you asked me how it happened, I'm going to get ahead of ourselves a little bit. If you said that we got Barrymore at 15 and then traded up to get Mac Jones at 36 back then, I'd have been like, yeah, I like that.
So just a little bit of flip flop. We got a first and second round pick in the first and second rounds. That's what
Yeah,
we
I
came
mean,
away
of
with.
course, the draft value has changed since like the last
Right.
time football.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
It was just, I think it was just like kind of like, oh, like he's putting up these numbers, and I kind of watched between the Notre Dame game and the Ohio State game, just like a lot of his throws were lateral. Like it was more of the
Right.
So like that's the one thing I'm
Right.
nervous about. But Chris Sims seems to be pretty right on quarterback prospects lately, and he likes him. So
Yeah. No, I
well, talk to me in August. I might be a little more excited, but
yeah, no, I mean, I was so nervous about going into this season again. Again, I can't say it enough. I loved Cam as a player when he was, still able to throw a ball. I just don't think he can really do that anymore. And if we were going to come away with Newton Stidham again, I don't know what it was getting to the point where, again, I'm not one of these people that's so like, so anti Cam, but it was getting to the point this year. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm watching on offense. I'm like, it was painful. I'm like, they're not even getting outplayed this much, but nothing is happening because we can't throw a pass down the field. So I just couldn't go into that again. I mean, like, yeah, sure, maybe you could have got, Mond or someone else in the later rounds here, but it just seemed like, I don't know. I'm like, you have the guy, you're here at 15. You made a lot of moves in the offseason to build up your roster in other spots, which I think allowed them to do this. You got, 2 tight ends. You got receivers, you got help on defense. Like you were able to address these certain things. So I think it gave you the flexibility in free agency to address your other needs to really open up a spot here to take a quarterback.
Yeah, that was a thing at a point where we got there, and I'm like, I don't even know what I want because I expected some defensive guys to go.
Mhm.
So I thought at this
That's
point,
another thing. Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
all five would be off the board. I thought like a couple more linemen, like I thought Darisaw would be off
Mhm.
the board. Apparently, we liked Vera Tucker a lot. We might have taken Vera Tucker if the Jets didn't come up.
Mhm.
Like I expected between at least one of Horn, Sertan, and Parsons to be around, which is
Mhm.
kind of like the things on defense we didn't really address between like I know we got Barrymore in the second round, but like we did kind of do well in the defensive tackle with like getting Guy back and signing that guy from Miami. We got an edge
Mhm.
by from Judon.
Oh
So
yes, yes.
on defense, it was like kind of more of like we need a new high tower just because
Yeah.
he's getting up there. And
Mhm.
the fact that Gilmore's starting to be gone, that was like, okay, that seems like Bill centric picks that I'd like.
Yeah.
But once I was
Yeah.
down
I mean,
board, I'm like, okay, like I guess
right. I think the only guy they could have gone with there is David Collins, which I think is another guy they liked. But
yeah.
again, Micah Parsons was off the board. I think if you said, four quarterbacks were gone, like you might think he might still be out there. Like you said, we saw Horn and Sertan both gone. I know people have been down on Caleb Farley, so that's another guy who fell into the 20s as we'll get to here. But I just think everything played out perfectly. And at the end of the day, you needed to bring someone in a quarterback, someone legit, not like another day 2, day 3 pick that is just going to end up like Stidham or whatever the case might be. So I don't know. And like you said too, with the whole thing with Jones in the national championship game, it's like, well, those passes were open. You know what I mean? You can't blame them for that. And I know that's not what you're doing, but like, oh, they threw a lot of these red. It's like, okay, well, I mean, again, I didn't watch every single game Alabama played, but I mean, I'm sure if there are deep passes there or tighter windows that he needed to make, he could do it. But just I don't know the way, especially Ohio State. Like I remember watching the game, they just seemed to be their linebackers seemed to be like going deep into prevent, and Smith was just open 5 yards on the field. So
Mhm.
he took what was there, and I think that's what we want. And then you think about, Brady's. I'm not. I know he does a lot of like physical comparisons there, but the only thing I'm really bringing up is like area he found success in were those intermediary passes. He's never known for, I mean, maybe the one year for Randy Moss in '07, but like he's not really known for uncorking the deep ball 5-10 times a game and he hits the open passes, and that's all you have to do.
Yeah, it seems like a game fit, and Bill, and even assuming that when he's done, we're gonna hand the keys over to Josh. Like,
Mm-hmm. He
kind
seemed big on him too. Yeah.
yeah, so we can just keep that type of style of play. I mean, and the thing is, like, I did see, I forget who I was listening to on the radio. Like, I know it's like, oh, why'd you have two different styles of quarterback? Like, Cam's game plan is going to be different than Mac Jones' game plan, which I do get.
Right.
But
Yeah. It's
like, but someone did kind of be like, okay, like, of course, like right now they're probably going to have to drop a couple different playbooks, but
yeah.
like that's only
That's why
really
you draft in April.
but someone's like at the pro level, that's only really a disaster mid game because
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
like okay, like let's say Cam stinks after like week 3 or 1-1 going to fall to 1-2. We put a Mac Jones, we lose that game. We're going to spend the entire next week only installing a Mac Jones offense.
Right. Right.
So,
Exactly. So yeah, and we'll get kind of. I know we went a little bit in depth here, but I just want to wrap up with the first round before we get deeper into the Pats, other picks there. But no, I loved it at 15. Can't say it enough. He did like dorky walking up and everything. But again, we got a first round quarterback, which we haven't done since Bledsoe. So exciting stuff. And then just some other notable picks into the first. I don't want to go kind of pick by pick here. And you feel free to highlight some other ones, Mike. I noticed Kadarius Toney to the Giants. Again, we mentioned that they were probably going to take Smith if he fell to the 11s. With the Bears, still get a good wide receiver in Toney at 20 there. Caleb Farley, again, he fell. He was kind of a top 10 pick in a lot of your earlier mock drafts. Then just I think slowly fell more and more, and he ends up going to the Titans at I think it was 22. Yeah, 22. Yeah, and I like that. I think Vrabel do a good job from him. Kind of build up that defense a little bit more.
yeah, I think they cut Butler too. So,
Oh, is that right?
I think so.
And then the, two other notable picks I have at the end of the first here, Mike. Yeah, we talked about it. 2 running backs, man. Mike's sick over there. He can't believe it. I think Najee Harris, that's another one that Mike, you thought too much. This was almost the Patrick Surtain of the later half of the round where everyone had it, and this one actually panned out. So again, Steelers struggled with the run game last year. Maybe a little too harsh on Connor. Not as much against the offensive line, but it ends up being Harris there. And then after the Jaguars, who I think were also looking at Kadarius Toney, they missed kind of the wide receiver run after taking Lawrence number 1. They end up instead getting a different offensive weapon, another running back, Lawrence's old teammate Travis Etienne.
Yeah, so I just don't like either of these picks. Just because, like I said, it was. I guess I hate Harris less because he's a beast. Like he was incredible. Like leaping over defenders. Like maybe you just need that type of like running back to like make a average offensive line better. I don't know. Like I even saw I saw today, like Villanueva is actually flipping to Baltimore. So it's like a kind of a weaker offensive line got worse. And all you do is
yeah.
So like that's the one I don't hate. I just really hate the Etienne pick.
Yeah, it seemed a little like very almost pandering, or not even pandering, but like trying to be too much like the Dolphins and the Bengals or everything else we saw. Like, oh, he needs his friend here.
Yeah, especially because like they were like we were dead set on Kadarius Toney. Like I almost called it too. That was my pick in the mock draft. We're dead set on it.
Yeah.
The fact that he went a cold picks earlier, they were like, I guess we'll just pick his buddy. Like you can't be doing that with first round draft picks. And
but also like Elijah Moore was still out there, and like at the time, so it's like I mean, if you really wanted a wide receiver, like you're set on that. Like I think you're better off switching gears and going with another receiver rather than completely scrapping the game plan to go and draft after another Clemson offensive player.
Yeah, and especially like how many times I think it. I was shocked he went back. Like he was used a lot in college.
Etienne.
Yeah, like
how long I forgot he was 4 years, right?
Yeah, he was 4 years, and like that last one, like he was like he kind of had some mileage after junior year, went back and did a full. I mean, I guess the ACC had a pretty full season last year. That was like 10, 11 games for them.
11 games, yeah.
Yeah, so like 11. And I think if you looked at his yards per carry, it went down like a solid like yard or something last year. So there's just miles on those wheels, and they already have a pretty. I love James Robinson last year.
Yeah, on the cheap too. Yeah, I agree. I think Harris made a little bit more sense than Etienne. I think they were just trying to force that Clemson connection there. I think you could have gone offensive line. That's never a bad idea. And then also you could have gone a lot of different ways. If we mentioned the receiver, if you want to build up your defense, I think you could have gone a lot of different ways that spot. And then maybe Etienne goes later in the first or early second to another team that's a little bit more built around what he has. But yeah, again, that's all I really had there. I also nailed pick 31, like I mentioned, to kind of wrap things up. But really, I think some surprises there were, and I know there were medical issues. I won't count this one because it happened a whole round later, but I did get JOK going to the Browns. It was just in the second round instead of the first. So that was a little surprising, but I think some health issues came up there. Barmore, we'll talk about in a sec here with the Patriots, but he's another guy who dropped out of the first. So Elijah Moore, he was also a second round pick too.
Yeah, there's a lot of shocking day 2 guys. My boy Asante dropped out of the first round, especially with a lot of corners going.
Asante Jr., yeah.
A lot of corners also went ahead of him, so he really slept. Yeah, I think one of the bigger followers was JOK. Like I know my friend was a Bills fan. Was between like him and like when I got to him, I think he really wanted Newsom. Did he go right before? Like he went like the late 20s.
Newsom, I think Newsom went to Cleveland actually.
Yeah, he went to Cleveland. That's what it was. That's what it was. He went to Cleveland. He's like wanted Newsom, so he was like, do I want JRK or Rosso? And we're like, probably get Rosso. And then he later on he was like, are we gonna get JRK again? And the Browns got him. He's like, God damn it, I hate the Browns. Like I love this Browns draft too much.
Yeah, the Browns actually, if you think about it, they like sneaky had a really good draft too, because again, they were able to build up their defense. They have the weapons on offense. You have Baker, you have kind of both running backs, you have the receiver, like you have all that on offense, and
they did all that without Odell last year.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Cleveland did a great job down there. The only other couple quick notes before we close out the draft here. The other quarterbacks, so again, guys that we saw a little bit in college. Mond goes to Minnesota. I like that move too. Just, I mean, why not? Just grab a
I
guy
could have
there.
backup, so
What's that?
could have named their backup, and if they just get tired of Cousins at his price tag.
Yeah, exactly. Davis Mills to Houston. I know a lot of uncertainty going on with the Deshaun Watson situation in more ways than one. So I think it was smart of them to grab a QB with their first pick, right? They didn't have a pick till the third round. Is this still Laramie Tunsil trade? And
but it's not good there.
No, definitely not good in Houston. Ian Book goes to New Orleans. Sure, why not?
Mm-hmm.
And then Sam Ellinger to the Colts, which just seems like it makes sense because I don't know, Texas, Colt McCoy. I don't know, like these things in my brain that don't really make sense. Like
I thought you were gonna say like kind of like thicker QBs that were number 11 between him and Wentz.
that's true. I more was just thinking of like Colts or like that's also a Texas thing. And then also Colt. I don't know, just Colt McCoy played it. I don't know. It just makes sense. Sam Ellinger. I'm like, yeah, that pick makes sense late in the round. I have to give a shout out to two of my guys, BC players. Hunter Long goes to Miami. I think that's I guess the third round pick. He I think led the nation as first tight ends in receptions a year ago. I was actually with a buddy over the weekend who's a Dolphins fan, and just explaining to him, I'm like, he's like, how can you describe him? Like, reliable. Just he's open over the middle, open in the end zone. We'll see if that translates to the next level. But good for Hunter Long. And then later on in the draft, Isaiah McDuffie, our linebacker, goes to Green Bay. So two BC players going to Green Bay 2 years in a row. So I had to give a shout out there. But as we wrap up the Pats, and we talked a lot about Mac at 15. We talked about Barrymore falling out of the first round, trading up and getting him in the second. I actually liked the move. I know there was kind of mixed reactions at the radio, but I think the fact, and he might need some motivation help there, which I think hopefully is something you can change, almost like the football version of Time Lord. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I liked it because again, this guy who had a first round grade all across the board. I think a lot of mock drafts, even up until the hour before or whatever, had him going in the mid-20s, and you're able to get him in the second round.
Basically, just said all I could right there.
Said it all, yeah, exactly.
I saw his grades in the first round. My whole Mac Jones swap thing. So
yeah. So two Bama guys that goes with two of his uses his Saban connection there.
For better or worse,
Bama gets. What's that?
For better or worse.
For better or worse, yes. Some make more sense than others, but I think those are two good ones off the bat.
Dante Hightower, there's Cyrus Jones.
Why I should really like Cyrus Jones at the time.
I really like Barrymore, so that's.
Yeah, no, I know. I like Barrymore too, but I mean, I'm just saying. Like, I remember out there, I was like, oh, Cyrus Jones is awesome, and then he just turned out not to be able to catch a ball. But anyway, and then also Ronnie Perkins in the third round, I thought was very solid. It's a guy that I don't think I really registered how much I knew him. And I'm like, wait, number 7, Perkins, Oklahoma. I'm like, I think he's just always everywhere, like on defense. So I think that was a great pick for them in round 3. I think he could be a sneaky. I hope Mac Jones is the best player out of this draft, but I think even with Bear, I think he could be a really sneaky hidden gem for this team for years to come.
I feel like he kind of fits more in with like over like a Winovich kind of like guy. Like I feel like of those guys that are going to be like on the other side of Judon. Like he fits more of the mold, but it'll be good just to have. You can never go wrong with defensive depth.
No, I agree. But yeah, I think that was a solid move. Again, I only really watched Thursday night here, but I remember like looking through. I'm like, oh, Ronnie Perkins, I know that guy. Like, yeah, he's awesome. So I think great pick.
Our colleague Dave was a big fan too. So
awesome. Well, good to hear. But yeah, so again, there's some other picks. I don't know some of the other guys as well. They took a receiver in the 7th round. Maybe could have drafted one a little bit earlier. It was Trey Nixon, right?
Yeah, and I think for a 7th round pick, what I've heard is that like not bad. Like
could have gone like 5th or 6th round. Yeah,
not bad. Like I think just like the fact that he went to like a smaller school, he put up decent numbers.
Yeah,
I don't mind. We got a running back too. Our first 4 picks.
Oh, that's right.
For Alabama, Oklahoma.
Okay, yeah, because forgive me of his name.
Stevenson.
Is it a little bit longer? Oh, Stevenson. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I think like kind of like he wasn't really used too much there. He was just more in like a rotation there, which is kind of, and he's a different style. I think he's more like a bowling ball type of guy rather than our pass catchers of White and James White. So he
Yeah.
seems like a guy that he might even get redshirt for a year because I know
Yeah.
we're not picking up the 5th-year option on Sony Michelle. So it could be more of
Yeah.
like what we did with Damian Harris, kind of just like keep him on the practice squad for a year and then year
Hmm.
two.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the thing too. I'm definitely looking forward to Harris this year. But yeah, so yeah, pick up another running back there. So again, we could go in depth about a million different things here, but I really just wanted to kind of hit on the first round. The top half, and then some notables in the second half, where some QBs ended up, and then just kind of overall the Patriots draft board, which I think at the end of the day, I did really like what they did. But just one more thing on the NFL before we wrap up and move on to some of the other leagues here. The big news that really dropped the day of the draft, which I think kind of maybe like people thought it might factor into the draft, but it didn't really do so. Was just the latest in Aaron Rodgers with the Packers, and just seeming like he really does not want to play another game in the green and gold.
yeah, it's a very weird situation there between like he wants the GM fired, like a random like practice squad receiver like Jake Kumaro got cut and he just has hated them ever since.
Never recovered.
Yeah, so that means like he wants out. Like he said, he might just easily retire and be fine hosting Jeopardy. Like, seems like a weird story, but I feel like he might be done. He reaches 16.
You think he might just retire?
Oh, I'm done every day.
Oh, sorry, no, because I mean we were talking about the whole Jeopardy thing, so I didn't know if that was like what you think. I don't know. It just seems like a situation where I there were rumors. I don't know how true this is of them like the number 3 pick, and then obviously a lot of other stuff being rumored as well. And I feel like I kind of just would have made that if I were Green Bay. Imagine you get the 3rd pick, you could either take Jamar Chase or Penei Sewell or Kyle Pitts, even. I mean, up there. I mean, or trade back, get more picks for the future. Trade back lower to the top 10 and just really build your team around Jordan Love and everything else you have going on there. But obviously, they declined that, and then they have Rodgers now. So I guess that's kind of the question. It seemed like where the last second crazy thing happened at the draft, and that obviously wasn't the case. So I don't know. Does that kind of slow things down for a trade? Because I mean, teams are kind of trying to get their QB rooms finalized now, anyway.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like way too last minute to get something done for draft night.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up going to the AFC West, maybe following Peyton Manning's footsteps or getting with Gruden. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, because I don't know, like so much of it makes San Francisco made sense to me. Like, you have the number 3 pick, you can bring in Garoppolo if you're still not ready to go with Jordan Love yet. But obviously, yeah, it seems like a little bit more complicated now with that pick being off the table. But yeah, you mentioned Denver. I think there was a lot of talk of that even before the draft, and then yeah, same thing with the Raiders. That those seem like 2 legitimate spots where he could end up. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. I would be. He does seem stubborn enough. I mean, we know the whole thing with the family. I would also be very surprised if he plays another game for the Packers, because I mean, that's the thing too, is very presumptuous, and you're kind of being buried in the lead here. It's like, well, how do you know you're going to get the Jeopardy job, dude? Like, even if you want it, like, what if they're like, no, we're going to go with the everyone's LeVar Burton now. I mean, or yeah, or I know Ken Jennings did it for a while there, and yeah. So who's to say you even have that job, man? But yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if he plays for the Packers again. I think retirement would be a little shocking, but also if he did have that job in line, I also wouldn't be super surprised by that. And then we saw him at the Derby, which we'll get to in a little bit later. Did you see the picture of him and obviously Shailene Woodley in there, who he's with now? But did you see like Miles Teller was randomly hanging out with him?
I think they might have had movies together, like some back in the day, like Divergent.
No. Yeah, no, it was funny because I wasn't on my phone much this weekend, but I just went on Twitter. I saw Miles Teller trending. I'm like, oh God, what did he do? Like, did he get canceled or something? And I was like, oh no, he just did a Kentucky Derby picture with Aaron Rodgers. So I don't know, I just thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Aaron Rodgers going forward. Draft was a lot of fun. Like I said, like round 1 was awesome. One of my favorite nights of the year. So, but yeah, so that's a wrap on that. We'll see how all these guys do in the fall, and we'll obviously see any moves that happen between now and then with Rodgers, anyone else, the Patriots, and kind of just keep an eye on that while the other leagues kind of come into focus here. And we'll start the transition with the NBA here, Mike. And again, a game that we kind of had a long weekend up again. Like I said, in Portland, wasn't watching many sports, kind of in more of a group dynamic, but kept an eye on the Celtics game, which on Friday night started real ugly, but the one guy who was keeping in there and had the game of his career thus far, maybe the best game we've seen since Larry Bird. Jason Tatum dropping 60 on Friday night to lead this comeback.
Yeah, I was mainly watching the draft and I saw they were down by 32, so I didn't really go over.
You were really tempted to, yeah, exactly, throw it
I was
over.
like, I didn't really want to switch it over, and then it was kind of like I got drafted out, and it was like I saw they were only down by 10 at that point, so I flipped it on, and then it was just Tatum was scoring at will. It was pretty much just like a great scoring display I've ever seen. And then they were able to take the lead for a second. John D. Morey was great that night. I think he was just a couple shy in each category of a triple double. I think it was like around like 23, like 8 and 8 or something like that.
Who was that? I'm sorry.
Deontay Murray.
Oh yeah.
He hit a big shot to help force overtime because Tatum missed it at the buzzer. And then in overtime, it was just more of the same. He did a great job, keep on scoring. Brown had a big three to take the lead. And even at the end, should have gotten an and one for 61.
But yeah, so he is the first Celtic since Bird to put down 16. You talk about other guys. I mean, I was just tracking the game. Me and another guy went to pick up food, listened to it on the radio a little bit, but it was crazy because at one point they were like, and like I think it was when it was early on. It was like 12. It was like 24-12 or something, and they were like, no one besides Jason Tatum has scored, and it was like it had that start to the game. I think he had like 14 out of their first 16 or something along those lines. So you knew like if there was any chance of them coming back, it was going to be on his back. And man, did he really shine in this game. And also a guy we've been talking about all year. It's kind of gone up and down. But what a resurgence of Aaron Nesmith, who I think, what was it, 17 in that game or something like that off the bench. And he was also a huge part of this because I ended up catching up on a lot of the highlights the next morning. And he was huge. And he's also a big reason they were able to come back in that game.
Yeah, the hustle plays. I think there was like one time there was like a fast break to the ball kind of just like pinballed around. The next thing you know, it ended up with Nesmith underneath the basket for like a layup. I think they were down 4 with like 2 minutes left. So that was like a huge like swing to keep the ball rolling in the Boston momentum favor. So I think the fact that him like the shooting's starting to come, but like the fact that he's given playing some great defense or at least hustling a lot on defense and kind of making a lot of winning plays.
Right.
I don't know. I know it might get to something in a second, but might make another player of ours a little moot.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny too because obviously, again, this amazing comeback. Tatum puts up 60. Just this emotional game. All right, that's it. We righted the ship. Everything's good, right? We're back on track. No, of course not, because it's the 2020-2021 Celtics, and they follow up with a loss on Sunday, 129-119 against Portland. And again, this was another game without Kemba Walker, much like the night before, the game before that, and. I don't know. Just again, right when you think you're turning it around with this team, that it's just something else gets in the way. Again, Nesmith also had a very good game off the bench in this 16 points, 6 of 7 shooting, 4 for 4 from behind the arc. But I don't know. Tatum put up 33, so he still looks good. Jalen struggled in this game. He only shot 6 of 22, 1 of 9 from 3-point range, and they really weren't able to stop Portland. CJ had a great game, and I don't know. It's just another one of those things where they just can't put it together for any sort of stretch here. And then obviously you get injury added to insult, if you will, at the end of the game with Brown and Tatum running into each other. I think Brown's already out for tomorrow night's game against Chicago, or is that Orlando? I forget which one's first. Orlando's first, then Chicago. Yeah. And so, yeah, again, right when you think you're starting to turn things around, they lose another game here and find themselves sitting at the moment in the play-in tournament.
Yeah, Smart hitting people in the Christmas area, as Maxwell was saying.
Oh, that's what that was. Yeah, I mean, I've been a big Marcus Smart guy. He's done nothing but annoy me this year. I don't know what it is. Just again, he's been my favorite player on the team for a long time, and it's just everything this year. I'm like, dude, you're doing everything everyone on the radio says like you do. Like you're doing it all. Like you're living up to like, again, you're almost being like a brat at the end of these games. Like you're losing and then you get ejected or and other stuff. And yeah, again, I got ejected in this game. Same thing happened a few weeks ago. It's just like you're not shooting well from behind the arc. I mean, the defense is still there, obviously, to a certain extent, but I don't know. It's just like it's getting a little tiresome.
Yeah, and like how well Neesman's playing, and just like
Right. That's what you were kind of alluding to there. Yeah.
yeah, like if he's just gonna have a level head, shoot a little better, maybe be out a little bit worse on defense, but like not that much of a drop off. Like
Hmm.
he was playing with everyone on the court in the San Antonio game, so
Hmm.
I don't know. It's just I hope they end up in the plan at this point.
I
Because
I almost yeah. That's yeah. Go
they
ahead.
need to be embarrassed like that. Heck, lose both. Like I already have like my path.
So them losing both games.
Either that or getting Philly as the 2 seed, and then Heat Bucks. Who knows? Get a rematch with the Heat.
I oh, a path in a good way.
I have both paths.
Yeah, both the path to destruction and the path
Like
to just
if
losing
we're
to the
gonna lose
Nets
with Philly,
somehow.
don't waste my time. But if we can somehow beat Philly, I can talk myself into a conference finals run.
It's just okay. Celtics aside, can I just say how much I hate this stupid tournament?
No, it stinks. Even LeBron was saying,
Yeah, I agree with him. It's dumb, and I'm sure everyone's like, oh, it's only because they might fall in the 7th seed. But it's just stupid. You're adding extra games for no reason whatsoever. It's like I don't. It's clear who's a good or or at least a mediocre team at this point. And just like it's like yeah, you kind of had to do something like this last year because of the bubble, and even then they only had 9. They only had 9. It wasn't even a full 10 there. And it's just I don't know. And this will kind of transition into our talk throughout the league because I'm just you tell this inconsistent. So I'll get more into my okay. Right before we get to the playing tournament, just a few other notes. I'm looking at their schedule, Mike. It's there for them to get out of this playing tournament. It's there for them to even maybe get up to 5. I don't think they're going to catch the Knicks, but I mean the loss column, you're only a game back of both Miami and Atlanta. Miami's the only before the Knicks in the season finale. You play the Heat twice, and everyone else stinks. Everyone else stinks. You have the Bulls, you have the Magic, you have the Cavs in there somewhere. I'm pretty sure I had it all up today. As far as the Timberwolves, like who I guess haven't played better but you have Magic and Bulls. You should win both those games. Heat Celtics, or Heat twice. You should at the very least split that. You should beat the Cavs. You should beat the Wolves. You should only lose a maximum of 2 games down the rest of the way.
well, we've already lost to the Bulls. We've already lost to the Cavs. It took us to overtime to beat the
I'm
Timberwolves.
saying should. I'm not saying they will by any means, or that I'd be shocked if they lose like any and all these games. You should
They
go.
lost
What
to
is
the
it?
Thunder.
Five
Like
and two to the
I
stretch.
was gonna say, like, okay, at least they'll beat the Magic, but they lost to the freaking Thunder.
That was Mike. This is not a prediction by any means. I'm just saying you should go 5 and 2. You should go 5 and 2 down the stretch. No questions asked.
Hmm.
And even then, who knows what's happening with the Knicks at the end of the season? Maybe they're just locked into 4. Maybe even when like again, these are things that you should be able to do. But who knows? Again, it's there. You're talking about a path that's there. Ugh. Anyway, but yeah. So going back to the playing tournament, yeah, it's just dumb. Like we should have just done what we usually do end of the season midweek and then just start the playoffs on Saturday. But
The
just
Nuggets Timberwolves game ruined everything. It was a good game, but people got too many ideas.
yeah, I know. Like I said, then they kind of had to last year with the bubble and everything. Just again, even that was like I'd even prefer that to what's happening now. But it's just we're letting too many bad teams in here. You already let over half the league in the playoffs with 16 out of 30. Like, do we really need to let in 20 out of 30 teams? Just seems a little ridiculous. The only thing that's giving me some sort of solace here is that like I'm just loving how well the Wizards have been playing lately, and they've worked their way into this thing, which they wouldn't have been able to do in years past. That's literally the only thing about this now. So yeah, they're actually penciled to play the Celtics. That would be hilarious. Oh no, I keep forgetting the stupid. It's not even 7-10 yet. So that'd be the only funny part of this whole thing if the Wizards somehow got into the actual playoffs.
No, I think someone said like for like viewership, the Eastern Conference, if it's Nets 1, Wizards 8, just like having like Harden and like the Beal, Westbrook, like just that would just be an offensive points bonanza. And
Yeah.
then like Sixers Celtics, Heat Bucks, and then Knicks Hawks seem like the best way. Because then if you get like the New York second round, and then I'd say any range of those 4 teams meeting in the second round would be pretty good. So
Do it okay, and then now I'm but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just very interesting. I don't like it at all. I wish it was the old way. But we do, before we hop out west, I do want to. We've talked about them already, but really, I can't say enough with the New York Knicks. I cannot believe how well they're playing. 9-1 of their last 10, staying hot. First winning season has been clinched, first time since the Melo days back in 12-13. And I don't know. I mean, you talk about like I'm seeing all the stuff out here. It's like you can make a case for like them to win so many awards, like Randall winning Most Improved, Thibodeau Coach of the Year, Derrick Rose Sixth Man of the Year, Leon Rose Executive of the Year. Like all these things are out there, and it's like I'm like you could talk your way into any and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
So
unbelievable.
It's fun to see. I like the Knicks being relevant, if we're being honest.
Like the only team that they lost to in that stretch is the only team probably playing better than them going out west, Phoenix.
Yeah, so that's actually what's very, very intriguing, because again, we talk about this race, and then we actually have the Bucks just beat the Nets here, so that could help out Philly here, who's sitting in the 1 spot. Brooklyn obviously in 2, just one game behind. They're going to fall back a little after this loss to the Bucks here, but we have 2 ties in the top 4 of the Western Conference. Phoenix has taken the 1 seed over the Utah Jazz, who are obviously the hot seed beginning of the year. They've won. Suns have won 5 in a row, 7 out of the last 10. So Utah now sitting at number 2, although they are tied. Denver, again, Jokic carrying the team without Jamal Murray. I know we talked about that Austin Rivers pickup that's been good for them as well. They're 8-2 in their last 10. And Mike, how about this? If the season ended today, we'd have LA in the first round, which I don't think anyone the last 2 years would have expected that. The first time we ever see LA in the playoffs, it would be a first round 4-5 series matchup if the season ended today.
Yeah, I mean, definitely injuries had to do a lot of the fact with that, but like even just the fact that like the Clippers have been relatively healthy, and the fact that the Jazz and Suns are doing better than them.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of like getting excited about that. I mean, I would obviously like for it to be later, as late as possible. But hey, if that's how the chips fall here, I think that'd be something that's very interesting and could set up some intriguing first round matchups here. And it's weird because right now Dallas is taking the 6th spot. They're only a half game behind the Lakers now. Very, very tight also between 5 through 7. The Lakers, Dallas, and Portland all currently separated by just 1 game. And that's kind of where the drop off is to the rest of the tournament, with Golden State, Memphis, and San Antonio right now. But that seems pretty locked in places. Is New Orleans still 3 losses behind San Antonio for the last spot there? But it's going to get very interesting in those top 4 seeds out west there, because the Clippers, they must have been really struggling, because I feel like we talked last week, 3 in a row. We were talking about them maybe getting into that top 3 with Utah and Phoenix, but now they're a full 4 games behind both of those teams. 4 losses, 4 games for loss column as well. So it looks like they're not going to get above 3. It seems like the top 2 is settled and the 3-4 are settled. It's just where the order is going to be. So we'll obviously keep an eye on that as we get into the final couple of weeks of the season here. I think we're already under 2 weeks. I think it's not this upcoming Sunday, Mother's Day, the Sunday after that is where we have a lot of the final games of the season. And I think the play-in tournament starts right after that. So gonna get intriguing. It seems like we're starting to get more of an idea of where teams are going to end up. But yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at now as far as the NBA goes. And yeah, the only thing, could the Lakers fall to the playing game? Again, it is very tight. That would be insane if they end up in the play-in tournament. But I think they'll find a way to end up in 5 or 6. What's that?
Big win over Denver last night.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think they'll find themselves either. I think they'll end up at 5. With the worst case 6. I feel like they're more likely to finish strong than maybe Dallas or Portland down the stretch here. So we'll see where those seeds end up. So I want to quickly hop over to some NHL. I know the Bruins were able to clinch his playoff spot over the weekend, so we'll start there. They did lose tonight in a shootout versus the Devils. So again, we know we've weirdly had some trouble with them. So obviously not a great loss tonight, but they'll get a point there. But again, they're able to take care of some bad teams in the meantime and clinch that playoff spot.
Yeah, it's weird they had the back-to-back games, and New Jersey just everything's so backloaded with the COVID makeups this week. But pretty sure their schedule runs out this week, or no, it rolls over into next week as well. A lot of the Canada division, just the Canucks have to make up all these games.
Yeah. So what do I get? Is there going to be a big gap between the Bruins' last game and the first?
It's basically there's like a full slate of hockey next Monday, and that's like the last game of the regular season for Monday and Tuesday. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's like over the course of next week, there's just like between like Monday through Friday, there's just a lot of spillover games.
Okay. So playoffs are they going to start over the weekend? That next weekend,
I think it might be.
or
There
just
might
like the full next week?
there might just be a lot of games canceled, to be honest, because like I'm just looking at the
Mhm.
ESPN app and it's just the Canucks and Flames are playing next week. Like no, next week, the week after. That's the only games in the schedule, and they're both like 47 points and 41.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's teams that they're playing just to run out the schedule. So that might just get totally canceled.
Yeah. Well, again, anyway, yeah. So we'll have some kind of a weird end of the season just because of everything you were mentioning there, um, but yeah. So the Bruins are in. We'll have at least one team in the actual playoffs. I know the Celtics are going to get into some sort of postseason, but yeah. And then so they have 4 games left on the docket. 3 at home, 2 versus the Rangers on Thursday and Saturday, and then a Monday night game against the Islanders before wrapping it up in DC versus the Capitals. So I know the question you have on here, Mike, is what seed do the Bruins want? I know we've kind of been talking, most of you are just kind of getting out of that 4 spot to maybe avoid Washington, but now we've seen Pittsburgh kind of leap in front of them here. And so now we'd still be playing Washington in the first round if the season ended right now. So do you think they're better off almost sliding a little bit and falling down to 4?
Well, also you gotta see that Washington has 2 games in hand. They still have 2 more to play. Like they're on level with us.
Okay.
They already played 54.
That makes more sense.
So I just think
You have to figure they'll at least
you gotta
get.
try to push back Washington as further as you can. Just
Yeah.
we're not the it's a good thing with the big bad Bruins that are going to fiscal every team like that 11 Cup run. But if anything, 2019 showed you is that this team is not that team. So
Yeah.
so if you can avoid a guy like Tom Wilson for a round and hopefully let someone else beat them.
Jesus. Yeah. I know he had another incident this week, but yeah, so I think I mean, obviously if you're on the ice, you're just playing to win every game. Like you're not going to control everything. But
Yeah.
as a fan, like almost hoping would have, it's tough to like almost know what you want to root for because again, both, again, almost like we're seeing in the Western Conference of basketball, there's jockeying up at the first 2 and then kind of the same thing at the bottom 2 here. So yeah, a little bit tougher to see where you want to end up. I think they're going to end up with the 3rd spot here. Whoever ends up coming in first or second, that's obviously to be determined. But it just seems like they'll be able to edge out the Islanders already with a point up with a game in hand here. So we'll obviously see where they do end up as far as the the playoff run goes. And I agree. I think I'd rather play Pittsburgh than such a physical Washington team here. But kind of just taking a look at the again, kind of more of that macro level as a whole of the standings. I know you said it's just, a lot of things are decided, just certain seedings that could be going other ways. I know Carolina kind of taking a stranglehold in the Central Division up 4 with, already, a game on Florida too. So it seems like they will end up with that top seed who ends up hosting, if you will, this Florida Tampa series. Won't have to travel far either way. That's kind of something there. That final, yeah, like you said, a lot of seasons. I mean, looking at the Northern Division now, Winnipeg and Montreal, just figuring who gets 3, who gets 4, who plays Edmonton, who plays Toronto, and then so I mean, definitely a little bit tighter out west. I think that's probably the most compelling race at the moment now, Mike.
Yeah, I guess Colorado does have the game in hand. So yeah, that'll definitely be the most. It's definitely if you want to get the 1 seed there to play St. Louis, who's like a solid. Like 50.
Yeah, because there's a huge drop off from Minnesota to either St. Louis or Arizona to make up. It's gonna be St. Louis, right? Yeah, I'm looking at the games played. Yeah, you're right. It's gonna be St. Louis. So yeah, again, we'll obviously see where all the teams end up there. Again, getting close to the end of the season here. Again, we'll have to do a little bit of a hockey preview, get some maybe a nice little guest on here to do a little bit of hockey, someone a little bit more versed into that world. But yeah, so again, that's something we'll keep an eye on as we finish the season up here. Likely head on some baseball as well. I know we're getting towards up a little bit, up over an hour here. Probably, we haven't been on in a week, so we'll probably go a little bit later here. We had the whole draft thing to recap. So almost a bit of a 2 episodes in one type deal. But yeah, taking a look, we'll kind of go division by division here. Red Sox, and we talked about that whole 17-10 thing, Mike. The Red Sox were able to accomplish it. They did go 17-10 in April. For a while, I think we're tied with the Dodgers for best record in the league at a certain point in time this weekend. Maybe even overtook them for a little bit, but
No, we'll get there. They're
okay.
neither of these teams the best record in the league anymore.
I'm just saying, no, at some point over the weekend, I remember reading that on Twitter that they had overtaken the Dodgers. So again, we'll take a look here. We won't jump ahead too much, I guess, Mike. But they did lose 3 out of 4 to Texas over the weekend, and that's obviously not ideal, especially given how good Texas is, or how bad they are. So obviously not great weekend, but they do have the Tigers now. I did see the Tigers were getting back into this game. Looks like they kind of jumped ahead a little. 10-7, right?
It was pretty poetic that the game winning hit on Sunday was Brock Holt.
Yeah. So yeah, again, Texas wins 3 out of 4 down there against the Red Sox. So again, they're almost kind of like a much less aggravating Celtics, where it's like, again, you think that they play really well for a stretch, and then they kind of have a bit of a downturn. So obviously a bit of a letdown down there in Texas. But hopefully the Tigers can be the just what the doctor ordered here, and maybe you'll get back on track here with some wins.
Yeah, we have Baltimore this week too, so we can kind of have like a nice little 5-1 week, a short 3-game homestand, then going back down to Camden. So sweep these Tigers, take 2 out of 3 from Baltimore. Kind of right the ship off a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So again, definitely as we especially with the draft over, I think that kind of dominated a lot of the headlines the last week or so, but kind of getting back into baseball here. And so yeah, again, I didn't really get to catch much of the games over the weekend, just because, like I said, I was going to travel around a little bit. Any other points on the Sox or the AL East as a whole for the weekend?
AL East, it was more of Toronto. They did a pretty good job. They had the Braves in town, and I think they ended up sweeping them. Let me see. It's the weekend. They ended up sweeping the Braves in Florida, not Toronto. But so that was kind of a big win. They're now in second place, and the Yankees were able to right the ship by sweeping the said Tigers over the weekend. Yeah, so just a lot of mediocre. Got 14 and 13 in second place, and 14 and 15 in last place in the AL East. So
it's almost like a less extreme NL East, which has no teams over 500 right now, which I know we'll get to in a little bit here. But yeah, how about the Royals? Still kicking around. They get if you go by number of losses, I guess the A's have technically better winning percentage, but the least amount of losses right now in the American League.
Yeah, they had the Twins in this weekend, and they lost 2 out of 3, but they're kind of still playing good enough 500 baseball after their pretty hard start. Benintendi's starting to heat up for them, which kind of isn't the best after how bad Frenchie Cordea's been for us. So I don't know.
Or is it even better just to show how many stupid trades the Red Sox are making?
Yeah, they were up 3-0. Now it's a 3-3 ball game, so they might be coming back down to earth a little bit. But they had some playoff odds go up to it went up to 22% after this. So,
oh wow!
Just to make
White Sox. Yeah, White Sox have also won 7 of the last 10. They're kind of trying to make a push. I know they were the popular division pick. They're only a game out at the moment, and obviously it's so early in the season. But good to see the White Sox kind of getting back on track as well.
Yeah, they've had some tough injury. Yeah. I know they've had some tough injury luck with, of course, Eloy going down in spring training. And now Luis Roberts going to be out for a long time. So that outfield's getting a little thin.
Weather the storm. Because obviously Anderson was out for a little bit too earlier on in the year, but the Twins just stink. So
yeah. Well, the White Sox had some good pitching now. They've Cease for them has been kind of a top prospect the last couple of years. He came up in 19, and he's been really inconsistent for them. But his last 2 starts has been pretty phenomenal. So he pitched tonight and had 6 innings, 1 hit, 11 Ks. So he's kind of taken over the spot of the ace because Giolito's been struggling a bit. He's ever since that Red Sox start, he hasn't really been able to level it off.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah. And then if we go to the AL West, again, A's remain on top there, best record in the AL right now. Yeah. So
some good consistent effort from them on offense with Matt Olson kind of leading their charge, and though they did lose their young guy Jesus Luzardo to an injury, he's gonna be out for a month. Guess what happened?
I'm never gonna guess.
He hurt his finger playing video games.
Classic millennial there. Um, I'm sure some people have a field day with that storyline, even though it's just, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
whatever. But yes, the A's remain on top there, like you said. Astros are actually in the Bronx now. I just flipped back over to this game. I'm not sure what the score is
I think the
there,
Yanks are on
but
top there. But
okay, it was
for
3-3 last time I saw him. But
first game back with a full crowd after the cheating scandal in New York, who's the team that they've fallen to in the playoffs 2 out of those 3 years. So, and especially 20
can't
the year.
can't write that storyline.
No.
But yeah, so that game's obviously going on right now. Houston, the series in the Bronx here, and then I just have Mike. Do you want to talk about the Angels for a little bit? I know you got some notes on Showtime, some Mike Trout.
I mean, they're under 500. They're not really playing too well, but just those two guys are going off. Every time you open up Twitter, it's Otani hitting a moon bomb of a home run. I know he has some injuries where he's kind of really pitched that much this year, but
Mm-hmm.
you just look at his season stats. Like in Yahoo leagues, he's the third best player. And let me see, he's in 272 with 9 home runs and 22 RBIs with 6 stolen bases.
Yeah, and can I just ask, like, why can the Angels not figure it out? Like you always, is it just their pitching? Is their pitching just god awful? Like,
Pitching isn't that good at all.
I just feel like even historically, like ever since Trout's been in the league, it's like they haven't had terrible players around him in the lineup, and now you have a guy like Shohei Otani, who's, you know, obviously doing some pitching as well, but most of his damage has been from the plate, and you have this kind of dynamic duo there, and they're still under 500. So it's just like, I don't get when they're going to make this push.
Yeah, Trout's at 410. I think he's slugging like 800, which is just. I know it's May 4th, but that's just an insane.
Yeah, absolutely. And then hopping over to the National League, I know I kind of alluded to it early on. There's not a single team over 500 right now in that whole division.
Yeah, it's just kind of like everyone kind of beating the crap out of each other. With the Mets have the good pitching, but like DeGrom got scratched from his start today, and like Lindor's hitting like 170. So a lot of turmoil there. The Nats did kind of have to weather some COVID to start the year, and Soto was out, but they got him back. So they're kind of trending up now, even though they did fall to Atlanta, who every time they get back to 500, they immediately just lose 3 straight games. So I don't know what's going on there. And
yeah,
the Phillies are just playing good enough to like kind of stay involved. Like they just seem like every time I open up one of their series, it's like a split or 1-2 out of 3 lost, 2 out of 3. And the Marlins are down a little bit. They're down in last place, but only a game and a half out. So
yeah, perfect. So and I hear, you know, Soto back after an injury. Hopefully that gives the Nats a little bit of a boost here. And yeah, we'll just we'll see what shapes out of the NL East.
Yeah, and Brady's also lost Darno to an injury too. So it's another bad lineup.
Then if we hop over to the Central now, just going to kind of like recapping what's gone on in the last week or so with, you know, division by division here, and as my app wants to freak out on me. But yeah, it's pretty much, again, it seems like it's going to come out of the Brewers and the Cardinals in the NL Central. Cubs, you know, Cubs and whatever it is, it seemed like a full step behind, but yeah, coming down to Milwaukee and St. Louis so far.
Yeah, Cincinnati got off to a hot start, but they've kind of really slowed down since. Chicago hasn't really gotten the pitching. Like you said, Cal Hendricks now stinks. And then the Pirates, everyone thought they'd be terrible, but they were above 500 for a little bit. But the Cardinals had them in town.
Lost 5 in a row.
And they just, I think they might have been a 4-game set where they just swept. So they're on fire. Yeah. And then the Brewers, they've been playing some great baseball all year. They had a 4-game set with the Dodgers, won the first 3 games, lost the final game. They lost again last night, and they're down 1 in the 9th. So after a nice 3-game winning streak against the Dodgers, they flipped to 3 straight. But that's what happens when you don't record for a week. The storyline you start to build kind of just falls on itself.
Yeah, which is, again, that's a good point, especially with baseball. I mean, you can kind of get away with it more in other sports, but which brings us to the NL West, because again, I brought, you know, the whole talk's been how dominant the Dodgers have been this year, and again, like I said, for a brief period of time, it's like, oh, the Red Sox and Dodgers are tied for best record, and now by the time we actually sit down and record, it's actually the San Francisco Giants with the best winning percentage in baseball right now at 18-11. Really, a storyline is how about the Bay? Both Bay Area teams with 18 wins, which is more than any other team in the league can say.
Yeah, so they're taking advantage of the having the Rockies in town. They're clearly the bottom of that
Oh, I
division.
saw that they had a 10-run first inning today.
Yep, and they had a doubleheader today, so they're doing that. And I gotta give a shout out. You know who's been absolutely fantastic for this team? Buster Posey.
Yeah, bit of a
I think,
resurgence.
I think if you look at his stats, his like April is better than his MVP season. He's hitting
Is that so?
382 with 7 home runs, a
That's
WOPI
awesome.
of 1.17. I mean, a lot of his RBIs have been on solo shots because he had seven dingers with 10 RBIs. But
fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I think that's awesome. I mean, Posey's obviously a guy who's been in the league, over 10 years now, and has he been playing a lot of first base?
beyond the plate.
Really, he's been behind the plate. Okay, all right, that's awesome. I love that. I mean, that's the thing too. It's like, I mean, going even to Yachty with the Cardinals. I mean, he's not my favorite guy out there, but I mean, there's something about these guys who just stay behind the dish like their whole career. Like you see a lot of guys get forced out early, whether it be to DH or first base, whatever the case might be. So it's nice to see some guys behind the dish and Posey doing his thing.
He plays some first base. I think they have like another guy that's been pretty good for them behind the plate.
Yeah, no, I mean, you don't have to be full time. I mean, that's kind of what Yachty does, but still.
Yeah, because I think like that. I forget his name is like Sasali. Like he caught like 5 straight like shutouts at some point in the year, which probably led to their 11 record. But even like Brandon Belt, like he's only in 231, but I feel like every time I click on some of these games where the Giants are putting up runs, he has several RBIs. Like he had a grand slam today, so he had 5 RBIs today. So
yeah. So again, the Giants at the top there. It's been so much talk about the Padres and Dodgers, and I know that's what we were coming off of last week, and Dodgers really haven't recovered from that.
Yeah, they just can't get any injury luck right now. Dustin May is going to have Tommy John surgery, so he's going to be out.
Yeah.
Again, just Bellinger's still out, and what's his face? Price is on the DL too. So
yeah,
it's funny that you go all the way down this list of pitchers, and they still have like Gonsolin's out, but he's coming back, and it's like, well, you're still going to be able to shoot him in the second he gets back, and this guy was starting 2 World Series games last year. So
yeah. And again, I know it's so early, but I mean, it seems like I don't know. There's a good chance the NL West could get all three of these teams in the playoffs.
I'm not going to.
You're not buying the Giants too early. I'm just saying there's a chance because again, look at what the hell is happening in the NL East right now. Nothing's shouting that they're getting 2 teams out there. So I mean, I guess the only team that they'd have to compete with is the loser of the Brewers Cardinals matchup. But again, I know it's so early in the season. I'm just saying if they can hang around, there's a chance you could maybe steal that second wild card spot.
Yeah, I did think I underrated the Brewers, so I think they definitely will. Because the Dodgers and Padres, they're both going to make it, barring like a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do think the Cardinals are good, and I kind of underrate the Brewers. So I think after May, that's kind of where I pick my 4 teams and just whoever the heck wins the East. But
yeah. But yeah, again, that's another thing. Yeah, we're only we just entered the second month of the season, so a lot of baseball left to play there, and we'll obviously just keep watching the rest of the summer, especially once we get some more day games going, hit that All-Star break, and we'll really get into the swing of things there. But just one final note here that we have. Also, Kentucky Derby was on Saturday. I mean, the only good thing with that is like that's one thing I actually got to watch this weekend because you're out with the group, you don't want to be a guy on your phone all the time. Like, this is a 2-minute race. Throw that up at the dinner table, just see what happens. So, and it's being Medina Spirit. I don't know why I ever went against Bob Baffert. These are the things I have to remember every time I race. But Medina Spirit,
caddy too.
What's that?
Isn't like Velasquez that guy that wins everything? The caddy, not the caddy.
You're sports cross up here. The jockey. Yes, you've used jockeying several times in this or outline here for the show. So it's funny that's the word you're going to come up with here. But yeah. So yeah, these are I mostly just go after names and kind of if their odds aren't terrible, go with it. That's what I did. I liked Midnight Whiskey, especially because I got them at I think Midnight Bourbon. Sorry, yeah, I couldn't even remember. I mean, I was having a few drinks on Saturday when I placed it, but yeah, Midnight Bourbon rather. And I think I got the odds, and then I looked later, and they were a lot better odds. I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. I got good value for it, and then never even cracked the top 5 the leaderboard as I was watching it. So that was a little tough there, but yeah, Medina Spirit takes home the Kentucky Derby this year.
Yeah, Bob Baffert the GOAT went from Belichick at 6 to Brady at 7. So Maybe the interview will be with Brady next year.
Yeah. Well, we'll have
Because
to
they did like
see.
a little
So
pregame thing with Tirico, Belichick, and Baffert this year. So maybe next
what's
year.
that?
They did like a little like Tirico, Belichick, and Baffert thing, if you remember. Moss was saying that.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, next year that's a summon Brady. Well, I mean, he might just win again. So
He really might just win again. I know we are, and just kind of wrapping up, going back to the football. I know we were probably listening to the same program today, and early Super Bowl picks, and all three had Tampa Bay winning the NFC, which is just it's insane. Well, we'll end on that with some out of left field Brady praise here to as we loop him in with Bob Baffert here. We're taking on the Kentucky Derby, but um, again, kind of a packed show. We had a lot of NFL draft at the start, but we're able to kind of bounce around the other leagues here. Again, not sure how the schedule is going to go. Again, another weekend where I'll be kind of bouncing around the place. We got Mother's Day, so we'll be together on Sunday. That will really be doing much podcasting then, but we'll figure something out. Worst case, it'll be again something where we're early next week again. I think it'll be a little bit more manageable with no draft to also recap.
yeah,
It'll just kind of be the
sports and nothing playoffs yet.
yeah, no derby going on. It might be a lot of like I said, a lot of the just the final season for NBA and NHL. So and we're just gonna keep plugging along this MLB calendar and kind of just see where everything shapes up from there. So again, kind of a TBD on the next episode, but again, at the worst case, we'll see you next week.
See you guys later.